Centurion holster. I hate this thing. It's horrible. It is so annoying. And what you're about to see, and I'll put a timestamp up in editing if you want to skip this, but what you're about to see is about 4.5 minutes of me. I've edited it and whatnot, of my live stream from yesterday of trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this holster. I've left this in quite simply because this holster is individually by itself a damage glitch. I'm not going to be showing how to do it, although to be fair, it's bloody easy to do. So I'm not going to be showing how to do it. I'm just going to be showing why this holster is, for a lot of people, performing way better than they actually realise it should be. And also showing how I've basically worked the numbers backwards to show that it is absolutely not performing how it should be. So here's the clip, or clips if you want to watch them. If not, there's a timestamp now that will allow you to skip forward. Right. 124637. That is not accurate. Oh. One, two, four, 637. What am I missing? Something's gone wrong here. This shouldn't be.
I think we're having a little crisis in crisis management, aren't we?
That's way over what it should be. Where's it getting the extra 15% from? 15. Am I just being dumb? Specialization, weapon. You get 15 from specialization, 15 from weapon. 15 from weapon. 15 from specialization. That's there. Then you got 15, 30. 45, 60. 75, 90. 100. Far. 30, 60, 90. Hundred. No, weapons are 8, which I've calculated, and I'm still getting another 15% weapon damage from nowhere. Calculated, that's what that 15 is. But I could put this to 1.2. Right, we're going to find F2000, 49104. 49104. Right. 122760. Why are you over? Okay, we're just getting a free 15% weapon damage out of nowhere. We're literally getting a free 15% weapon damage out of nowhere. I've calculated the expertise. Oh, have I got a weapon that has no expertise? G36. Right? No expertise whatsoever. Right? 6 red plus watch. Hold on, let's find G36. 52564. 52564. Right? 6 red. is 90% weapon damage plus watch. That gives us the 1, which is right there, 1. Okay. 15% AR on the weapon, which is here, 0.15. Specialization, Gunner, gives us another 15, 0.15. 120, 897. 128, 782. We put this to 0.3, give ourselves another 15. 128, 782. We're getting 15% more weapon damage out of the fucking blue. For no reason whatsoever. Right, why is any of this actually important and why isn't there footage on screen? Well, quite simply, to highlight the importance of this is, throughout my 5 years playing Division, this is individually the most bugged piece of gear, equipment, exotic, whatever you want to look at it or call it, or bloody blah, that I have ever seen. This thing is an absolute travesty. It is ridiculous. It is applying from either your secondary or your sidearm. You know, we're on your secondary, we're like SMG damage 15%, or your sidearm, say pistol damage 15%. It is turning that SMG damage or pistol damage or rifle damage into just general weapon damage and applying it to everything. So you are getting an extra 15% weapon damage. You can also get this to stack. Yeah. That sounds like fun. On top of that, it offers 2 buffs. Buff A, plus 20% weapon damage, as in the red cores, etc., 15% weapon damage, it's giving us 20. And it's also giving us plus 20% fire rate. This is strong, don't get me wrong. But the second buff, buff B, essentially, is 50% reload speed and 50% mag size. You can essentially bug out the holster so that you're able to have either permanently A or permanently B, and if you know what you're doing, you can get both A and B on your weapon at all damn times, plus another 15%. So you can have 35% weapon damage, 20% fire rate, 50% mag speed, and 50% reload speed permanently. Yeah, or any mixture of any of them, to be perfectly honest. This holster is horrible, and I don't mean horrible as in it's bad. It's theoretically pretty damn good. The issue is, it is so damn easy to bug out. Like, it's fantastically easy to bug out. To a point of, if I was a dev, I would outright just remove this from the game, start again from square one, make sure it bloody works, and then reintroduce it into the game. It's that horrible. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying for the time being, it doesn't need to be in the game. Now, the next point I want to get across, and hopefully I have all of your attention, hence just a normal background for now, is on paper, this thing is actually really strong. In practice, it's kind of annoying, and once you start poking at it a little bit, it falls apart. It's kind of like Negotiator's Dilemma. Negotiators on paper is the strongest set in the game. On paper. It is utterly ridiculous how strong that set is on paper. Trying to do it in-game is... Let's just say I'd rather directly inject Ebola into my eyes than play Negotiator's Dilemma at this point. So yeah, that is essentially a bit of story around this holster. It's horrible at the moment, and it desperately needs fixing, fine-tuning, and sorting out. Apologies for what probably constitutes as the longest intro in history. And yeah, this video is actually just going to be getting longer and longer at this point. There's actually a fair amount to go over. I'm going to try and get as much in as possible, though I'm very damn positive this is going to have to end up being part 1 of 2. Simply just because, as well, I recorded 4 hours of footage for this segment, and I've got maybe 15 minutes that is actually usable, because the remaining 3 hours and 45 minutes is the damn holster just bugging out, which, one, misrepresents what the holster's capable of if you're using this for any form of direction on how the holster actually works. 2, I outright refuse to actively show bugs and how they work. So I'm discounting all of that footage just in case people get some idea on how to actually do the whole stacking thing. The highest I've gotten so far is about 165% weapon damage. So yeah, holster is really, really good. Now, as I said earlier, on paper, this holster is damn strong, and I do mean damn strong. So buff A, which is the weapon damage and fire rate, averages 17.84% more burst DPS than the standard Coyotes chest guard, blah blah blah. We're still using chest guard, but we're basically just swapping out Coyotes for this holster, and yeah, it's 17.84% more burst DPS. And then if we compare Centurion second buff, Cent 2, it's not too much of a loss in burst DPS because obviously it's not really giving us damage, it's giving us reload speed and mag size, which if we then calculate in terms of sustained DPS, you should see that Centurion 2, the sustained DPS side, is actually really, really damn strong. Increase in reload speed as well as the mag size is very, very strong. However, Centurion 1 buff is actually quite weak in terms of sustained DPS. Here's the caveat, right? Good fucking luck maintaining that in any form of consistent manner, because I can promise you now it's not happening at all. At least for the moment, especially while it's bugged. Trying to actively do it without it bugging out and chaining it is very, very bizarre and peculiar, and just honestly, it's more annoying than anything else. However, that's just my personal take on it. I'm sure with a bit of practice and someone that actively wants to go into it will probably be able to get more out of it. Right, how to actually optimize both sides of the talent. This is going to seem kind of counterintuitive, but you want 2 weapons that you like, and you want one to go for a utility talent and one for a damage talent. And what you want to try and do is, with buff 1 that gives weapon damage and fire rate, you want to go for a utility talent. The example I'm showing now is I have a Vector 45 ACP with Unwavering. The reason I've done this is my burst DPS is fine, but I'm lacking in sustained. So having a way in which I'm able to get that sustained up by a faster reload, it also allows me to have higher uptime because I'm not wasting more time reloading with use of the talent being, you know, fire rate and weapon damage. And then on your other weapon that gets the increase in reload as well as mag size, you want to go for a damage talent. I'm using Killer on my Lexington. Hopefully you should see that while Unwavering is up, my reload is absolutely nuts, and then when it goes, the reload is actually quite slow. Hopefully, while you're getting kills, you can keep Unwavering, and you can keep pushing forward with that for the full 12-second duration. And then when you swap to your secondary, or your primary, however you want to look at it, for the Centurion second buff, you've got a damage talent to help it out with the burst side of things, because you're sustained with the magazine and the reload will be perfectly fine. So that would be how you would optimize its overall use. I then went through and tested what people are calling the double swap. So you swap from your main weapon to your slide arm, back to your main weapon, which causes it to get the 50% increase in magazine and will auto reload. People are using this on LMGs. You then swap back to your pistol, back to your main weapon, the same LMG, to get the weapon damage and fire rate buff. As you can see, I'm timing it. I've timed quite a few of them overall, and most of the time I get about 2.2 to 2.3 seconds doing the swap thing. Here's the kicker. Most LMGs now are getting about that as their just normal reload speed. All you're doing is wasting time. Stop it. The only area where you could argue that this would actually be like a worthwhile thing to do would be on high-end builds that have zero handling involved in them. But on something like Strikers, or if you're using Ninja Bike, or any build that really has any form of like substantial amount of handling, it's mostly quicker or the equivalent of just pressing your damn reload button. Sorry, it's not faster. Okay, yeah, you get like a 50% increase in magazine and you get the fire rate and the damage, but yeah, like this is not like a worthwhile excuse to have this holster in your build. Sorry. The next kicker for this actually is, I'm aware it got nerfed, but having fast hands on an LMG is still one of the best strats to utilize with LMGs. And the swaps that you've seen me doing are honestly macroed. I've got these very funky special keys up here that I can program and stuff, just simply because I keep messing up the swaps. So that's me macroing it, and I'm still getting inconsistent results. But I can, just put fast hands on, and thanks to IKEA and the lovely work he has done, we're able to see times for the reload on fast hands, and they all basically beat the holster swap thing. So yeah, using this to reload your LMG is potentially actually one of the worst reasons to use it, especially as well because if you try and use it as like a passive talent, so just swapping between like an AR and LMG, you can only actively proc the reload and mag size for the LMG once before the buff actively runs out, which means that ideally you would want to use the reload and mag size buff on something that has a smaller mag size so that you're able to actually get an increased uptime with that weapon, because the LMGs just don't need it. Sorry, they don't. Oh god. Now, this is the part that I kind of need you to pay attention to, as well as take with a huge grain of salt. Because what I've then tried to do is average out basically prioritizing buff 1, then prioritizing buff 2, or prioritizing both buffs. Say, for example, you're running 2 Lexingtons, and you've taken advantage of the advice that I've given you so far. So I've averaged it out across both weapons with both buffs, and then compared them to what you would normally just get on a striker's build. However, it's very, very, very hard to figure out what is actually meant to be happening and what is bugged. And then it's also hard to figure out that during testing this to make sure all my numbers are correct, at what point did it bug? Because even throughout the footage that I have shown, you might not have seen it, but I would just randomly jump up and down random numbers, not including the striker stacks. And it's just because the bug is going, I'm active, I'm not. I'm active, I'm not. And then another bug would just come along and be like, am I active? Am I not? Who knows? Ooh. That really fucking hurt. Note to self, don't piss around on a chair when you're post-op from a hip surgery. Anyway, what you need to pay attention to here is the bold numbers along the right hand side. I've put the reload for the swap thing to 2.5 just to account for some measure of human error. This can change. It's 0.3 seconds. Like, it's not going to be the biggest change in the world. However, prioritizing buff 1 with the weapon damage and the fire rate will net you 11.18% more overall DPS. Prioritizing buff 2 is essentially just negative 5% in DPS. Yeah, again, take this with a grain of salt. This item is so beyond bugged, it's unreal. I don't even know if I can even test this appropriately until they fix the damn thing. That being said, if you are running with things like 2 Lexington and you're just constantly rotating between the 2 buffs during a firefight, not that there's a firefight that lasts that long for you to do this effectively, but still, all that fucking about swapping weapons back and forth will net you 3.11%. So yes, it is more powerful than Coyotes. Theoretically, again though, good luck doing it. And again though, this is like with me timing it through macros, which a lot of people aren't going to have, especially for console players. I don't know how smooth operating spamming the swap button is on console. So results are very, very much going to vary. It's ridiculously inconsistent. I really don't know how I feel about this holster. I personally find it really annoying to use. However, the damage potential of it is absolutely insane, so I really want to like it. At the same time, though, it's the most obnoxious and obtuse thing I've come across since being in the damn military. And for those of you that are veterans, like, goddamn, that bracket is high. That also being said, the whole swap weapon mechanic thing is kind of... I just hate it. Like, I like what it can do, I just don't like how it does it. But again, on paper, this thing is absolutely nuts. So, play around with it, see if you like it or not. It has absolutely amazing, and I do mean amazing potential. So at the moment, I'm hard pressed to actually find people that are, one, liking it, two, liking it and are able to consistently use it without some form of mess up, which mostly seems to be the problem at the moment. Like, this holster is just messing up so much, and it hurts my soul. Absolutely will be looking to be doing a part 2 on this, maybe to, like, I don't know, adapt, try a different build. Maybe there's something somewhere of where this can be of use. And please, no one say Virtuoso. Like, god damn, that thing is trash. However, the main thing that I would really, really like is if, one, the devs see this, so they can go, oh yeah, fuck, we've messed up this holster, and actually get it fixed, so I can look at it and go, okay, this is actually intended, now I can test it properly. Because at the moment, despite everything I've said, and I did say just a minute ago, you know, take it with a pinch of salt, I don't know what's meant to be working or not. Just because it is such a bizarre piece of equipment, with the whole swap, whether it activates with pistol or not, there's been certain points throughout this footage of where I've had the buff active on my pistol, and the item specifically says that can't happen, and I just don't get it. I really, for now, my advice would be have the holster, max it out, put it in your stash, wait for them to fix it and to figure out what the hell is actually going on with this damn item, and then when it's fixed and we can figure out that yes, this is meant to be happening or this isn't meant to be happening, I can revisit this video and give like a definitive answer. Maybe I can team up with IKEA and we can math a few things out together, get Dispatch involved, a few others, and because honestly, this item is just so bizarre. It really is just so bizarre. But yeah, sorry for the longer video and the very bizarre introduction. I just kind of wanted to highlight that this item is 100% bugged, because I know people are going to argue it. But I really, really wanted to highlight just how bugged this item is, as well as just get a video out showing it and just potentially showing just how powerful it could be if we understood what is actually meant to be happening and what isn't. But yeah, that's it. Have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.